everyone! Today we're going to be going over 3.2, solving equations using multiplication and division. Alright, so in 3.1, we learned that the inverse operation for addition was subtraction, and the inverse operation for subtraction was addition. Today we're going to be looking at multiplication and division. So, when we're looking at multiplication, our inverse is going to be division. And you might have guessed it, when we're looking at division, the inverse operation is multiplication. So let's look at some examples. Okay, so we're asked, what are the inverse operations of the given statements? So we did examples like this in 3.1 when we were looking at the inverse operations of addition and subtraction. So we know if we have multiply by 10, while the inverse operation of multiplication is division, so we would want to divide by 10. So for these next examples, make sure that you pause and try them on your own, and we'll go over the answers. So for B, divide by negative 3, our inverse operation is going to be multiply, so we're going to multiply by negative 3. For C, we have divide by 5. Again, our inverse operation is multiply, so we will multiply by 5. And for D, we have multiply by negative 2. Inverse operation is going to be divide, so divide by negative 2. All right, let's look at some more examples. So, we're asked to solve for x. So in the first one, we have x divided by 5 is equal to negative 30. So remember, our goal is to solve for x, so that means we want to get x on its own. So right now it's being divided by 5, so we want to do the inverse operation. So go ahead and pause, try this on your own, and then play it and we'll do the answer. So we have divided by 5, our inverse operation is multiply, so we will multiply by 5. And when we do that on the left, our 5's cancel, and we're just left with x left over. And on the right, we have negative 30 times 5, which gives us negative 150. And again, we can always check and make sure this works. We can plug negative 50 back in for x, so we have negative 150 all over 5 is equal to negative 30, which indeed is true. So that works. For B, we have 10 is equal to negative 2 over 3 times x. Now, when we have a fraction like this, we want to think in two ways. So we have 10 is equal to, well, technically we have 2x over 3. Right? Since x is technically over 1, we can just multiply across the numerators and then multiply across the denominators. So this tells us that we have x being multiplied by negative 2 and being divided by 3. So inverse operations tell us we have to multiply by 3 and divide by negative 2. So in other words, all we have to do is take this fraction and flip it and multiply it. So if we have a fraction, flip it, multiply, and what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So our negative 2's cancel, our 3's cancel. We have x left over on the right. And remember, this is 10 over 1, so we can multiply 3 by 10, which is 30, and negative 2 times 1, which is negative 2. So we get x is 30 divided by negative 2, which would just be negative 15. And that's solving equations using multiplication and division. In the next video, we'll be looking at 3.3, which is a mix of 3.1 and 3.2.